All right, good evening, Cowboys, Cowgirls, and Outlaws. Sorry there, we had a few technical difficulties, but we are back on, and thank you for tuning in. We have our guest here, Small Caliber Arms Review. How are you doing this evening?
I've had better evenings. This one, the technical difficulties were all on my side, but I think I got them a workaround anyways.
Well, we're glad to have you on the channel, so thank you for dropping by and spending some time with us. I'm sure our audience is going to get a lot out of tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before we really get started, I want to go ahead and let everyone know that if you guys haven't, please subscribe to Small Caliber Arms Review. He is in our niche of the Western shooting sports as well as firearms in general. So another great channel. Take a look at. I've been following him for some time, and just get to know him a little bit. Go ahead and click that in the description. So I know that we kind of talked earlier a little bit about there's some personal information you don't really give out over the internet. But what do you want me to call you? Small Caliber Arms Review, or
you can call me Richard. That's fine.
Okay, Richard. Okay.
Yep.
So Richard, tell me a little bit about your background, man.
My background is I did have a short stint in law enforcement many years ago, but for the last 30 years I've been working in construction and heavy industry. So okay. Firearms is mostly it's always been a hobby for me.
Okay. So law enforcement, kind of tell me about that. Like, were you local PD, federal?
I was a corrections officer.
Okay, gotcha. Do you have any military experience?
I do not.
Okay, because sometimes I know that kind of segues into it, and
yeah,
I run into some guys that have that background, and that's cool. What state were you working in? Was it the same state you're in now, or?
No, it was Florida.
Okay, and what caused you to change careers?
It just wasn't the career for me.
Okay.
Okay. I've always been into building stuff, whether it's building stuff for myself or being part of larger projects and stuff. And construction's a whole lot more opportunities and quite a few more benefits, I guess.
Okay, so I don't know a whole lot about construction, so just kind of give me a rundown of what that is, what you did specifically in construction, if you could.
Specifically, I've been a pipe welder, pipe fitter and pipe welder. I've probably been I fit for, I guess, about 5 or 6 years, and then went into actual pipe welding, both TIG and stick. Anything from chemical industry to power industry. Small bore sanitary tubing to large bore heavy industrial steam piping. So I've been into some really cool places in the last 30 years.
Awesome. So I assume you've traveled abroad then?
No, just in the United States. There's plenty of work here to do.
I would imagine. That's cool though. Yeah, I never really wanted to get in construction or anything like that. But I would never have suspected you as a construction worker, to be honest.
Oh yeah, wear hard hat and all that good stuff. Steel-toed boots, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Do you advertise that on your channel, as in like your audience mostly knows that?
No, not really. I might have said a few times that I work in construction, but never really got into any details of what type of construction I do. I mean, there's a lot, residential, commercial, and stuff, but what I do is kind of the stuff that nobody really sees, with the heavy industry stuff.
Okay, awesome. Well, just to let our audience know, if you guys have any questions for either of us on what we're talking about, feel free to put it in the comment section. We'll bring it up on screen. We'll try to answer it. We do have a Q&A at the end of our interview here. So just kind of keep those questions in the back of your mind, or just post them and we'll go back to them. So why did you choose your channel name, Small Caliber Arms Review, as opposed to something else?
Well, to tell you the truth, I wanted a really cool acronym. I wanted to say SCAR, small caliber arms review. And that didn't work out all that well, because if you type in SCAR, you're going to come up with videos on the SCAR 17. There's a gun called a SCAR, so that'll show up long before you actually find my channel that way. But if you type in small caliber arms review, by the time you get the CAL on caliber, usually it'll pop right up. So the acronym thing didn't work out kind of like I planned, but it still says it on my cards, so.
Okay. All right. So I guess, do you have an affinity for the SCAR? I know, because you do more than Western. I know that.
I do. So small caliber, covers anything from, smallest, usually 17 caliber, up to 50 caliber. Everything, in that range is considered small caliber. So, and I like, 17 is probably one of my favorite calibers, whether it's HM2, HMR, the WSM, or a what is the other one I've got? 17 Hornet, and there's a couple more in the 17 caliber family. So I really like those smaller, really fast calibers, and anything up to 50 cal. I like stuff bigger than 50 cal too, but there's kind of rules and regulations on that stuff. So I stick within the boundaries, I guess.
Okay. Well, awesome. So before I ask the next question, how long have you been on YouTube? I know you've been on longer than me. I know that.
I just celebrated 5 years back in December. So that was my 5-year mark, December 27th or 8th, I think, something like that. So yeah, 5 years at it, and it's been a long road, but it's been a lot of fun the whole time too. I've really enjoyed it.
So with that being said, why'd you end up choosing YouTube as your platform? Like, I mean, we got all these other platforms. Why YouTube?
Well, YouTube is a search engine, and YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So you got Google first, and then you've got YouTube, both owned by the same company, obviously. But with being the second largest search engine, you've got more opportunity to pass a message on to somebody, or present the content to them. I know there are a lot of other smaller ones, but they just don't seem to have as much steam as YouTube. YouTube, to me, is probably not the ideal platform, but it's one of the biggest ones.
Okay. And what other platforms do you use?
I just use YouTube, and I have a Small Caliber Arms Facebook page too, and I do have a Twitter and an Instagram, but I almost never use those. It's very rare.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's I'd say YouTube, definitely. I have to agree with you. It is the search engine. It's what a lot of people go to, and I would say that it's kind of the easiest way to get discovered, if you will. If you have any sort of content ideas, is probably the best thing to do. But glad you decided to join, and we can kind of call you. What niche would you say you want to fall under? Would you say gun tuber, Western shootist, or just firearms enthusiast?
I think just firearms enthusiast, but here lately I've been geared more towards the Old West firearms and stuff. I think they've got more character to them, and they were built in a time when craftsmanship was the key to building things, and they had class and style and everything. They were well built, and they were built in a time when we used our brains and our hands to make things instead of CNC machines and all that kind of stuff. So the Old West guns really have a feel to them that newer firearms just do not have. Mm-hmm. And as I'm doing more of the Old West guns, I'm looking more and more into other things that were involved with the Old West, particularly since I like to do a lot of my my videos kind of in character, dressed up in some kind of outfit that fits the time period, or at least close to it anyways. I started looking at, making the clothes and stuff that I used in my videos. And I thought, you know what? I know how to sew. I've done it since I was a lot younger. And I also grew up in a time where we had to take home ec in school. So everybody that I went to school with, they have sewn something, whether it was a pillowcase or a pair of sweatpants, we all had to go through it. And some of us still do it. I still do it, a little bit of sewing and stuff. So then I started getting I thought if I'm going to do Old West clothes, it would be nice to do them on a machine that was available in the Old West. So recently I've done a few videos on some late 1800s, early 1900s sewing machines, because it's not just firearms that I'm interested in. I mean, I've got a whole lot of different hobbies, but I thought I would like to bring some of my other hobbies into this too. So I'm not exclusively a firearms channel. I would like to be, but there is a lot of firearms content on YouTube, and I would still like to bring more in my style or my just the way I present them. And I just wanted to bring some more of my hobbies into the channel too. And I'm trying to tie them in the best I can, which is not the easiest to do when the hobbies are so much different than just firearms.
Okay. So, anything that you're wearing tonight, you've made?
No, nothing that I've got on right now.
Okay.
But I mean, all the holsters that are hanging up behind me on the wall, I've made all those. And I've done videos on several of them, not all of them, but several of those. I did a couple puff ties recently, which were, Victorian era ties, some of the smaller, simpler ones. And I want to get into doing more complex garments, I guess, shirts and pants and everything. And, it's stuff that the cowboy action shooter would definitely need to have, whether they do it themselves or buy stuff from, Scully or Wawmaker or whoever it is. And I really think it's important. Not important. It's important for people to know how things are made. And I think it's beneficial for people to learn how to do these things and give it a try. Even if you've never done it before, at least try it. I don't think it can hurt you, to give things a try, but put that little disclaimer in there. But there's a lot of things that we just don't do anymore that we did back in those days. There were not tons of bib front shirts shipped over here from China back in the 1870s. They were made by somebody local most of the time.
Yeah, no, true that. It's I mean, it's kind of like when you're talking about making your own stuff aside, I mean, you're talking more like getting into the reenactor portion, and I think a lot of our reenactors can definitely relate to that. And but as I told in my last live stream, I had Duke from Duke Fraser Productions. I said, as much as I want to be historically accurate, none of my clothes are anywhere near that. So,
No.
But we try. But yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it. At least you've dabbled in the making your own clothing and holsters. And so is there any particular holster on that back wall that you would kind of like to bring up right now, since we're kind of on the topic and discuss?
I don't know. There's a bunch of them back there. I think my favorite one has got to be this one right here, which is the from the movie 310 to Yuma. With the Hand of God rig, they call it. That's Will Gormley's pattern that I made that one from. That's probably got to be one of my favorites. But I kind of like all of them. And like I said, there's a bunch of them up there, and probably some you maybe can't even see up in the corners and stuff. And I've got some tucked away in totes still that, I did long before I started doing any leather videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a lot of fun. And I never, until I started the YouTube channel, I never even thought about trying leather work. until when I decided I wanted to get into trying the cowboy action shooting, I got looking online, to find me a holster that I liked, and I seen one, and it was actually had Python inlays in it, and I thought, man, that thing is awesome, but it was like 12 or $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, that's a lot of money. I think I can do this on my own. So I give it a try, but I didn't realize, to me, it seems like it's easy to do. It can be aggravating at times, really aggravating, but it's a lot of fun. Even though it can be aggravating, it can still be fun. You just need to take your time with it. Sometimes you got to walk away from it,
Right.
But yeah, I like making holsters. It is a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll probably have questions in the comments on your holster, so I don't want to take away from the audience here, so we'll keep moving on. So with that being said, I know you kind of talked about the firearms, why you're interested in the firearms in the Old West, but is there any particular reason why you're interested in the period of the Old West other than that?
I like the firearms. I like the I guess the independence. Everybody did things for themselves. Whether it was, your food, your clothing, whatever. I mean, we almost did everything exclusively on our own. And I like that part of it, being a new country and, going out and taming the Wild West and setting up settlements there and, cultivating the land and stuff. I just like that whole period of being independent and pioneers and stuff. I think that's the biggest thing I liked about it.
Okay. Is there like a specific historical thing that you would like to know more about or do currently read about?
Not anything really specific. I just like the whole time period, the whole era. And usually when people think about the 1870s, 1880s, and it always goes towards the Old West, the cowboy era and stuff. And I don't live I don't live out west. I live east. But it was still a really cool time in history. Not the ideal times. I mean, there's a lot of benefits that, happened after that. A lot of, bad things went away and good things happened. But it's just something about that time period. I really like it, but no specific time or event or anything that I can think of.
Okay. Yeah. My biggest thing is I live down in Texas, so I like learning about Texas history, Western expansion, having to deal with Texas, the Texas Rangers. That's kind of my historical forte, if you will. I do like learning a little bit about the Army, containing the Indian population and learning a little bit about that, but not as much as as the Texas Rangers. So I am interested in the Civil War era as well. I think just with the firearms development alone during that time period is enough for me to get into it. And I know there's a lot of reenactors on YouTube that I may reach out to, but they've been on quite a while and they got a lot of great information. So, but that's my area that I'm interested in. Do you have any other periods in history other than the Old West that you are interested in?
I kind of like the 20s and 30s. I guess you could call it the gangster era, but not so much that there's not really. For some people, there's going to be memorable firearms from any era that you look at in history. But to me, the firearms, when you think of firearms of the 20s and 30s, you probably think of the Thompson submachine gun, the Tommy gun. But really, maybe that in the 1911, not really a lot of specific guns come to mind when I think of the 20s and 30s. It's just another cool time, I think, in history when, the automobile became popular, and it's kind of, I like horses too, but when the horses went away and the cars came in, and then the cars got cool, and I've been a car guy ever since I was before I could drive. I like old cars. I've had several of them over the years. So, and that period of cars in the 20s and 30s and 40s were just really cool. So that's one of the reasons I like that, and 50s. But I think 20s and 30s are a really cool era in the United States.
Yeah, I saw you had a video on there with a Thompson. Do you still have the Thompson that you did the review with?
No, that actually belongs to a friend of mine that I work with, and he loaned that one to me. He says, "Hey, you want to try out a Tommy gun?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do." So he's loaned me a couple guns that I've done on the channel there, and he really likes guns that are not your mainstream guns, and he's got a pretty cool collection.
Yeah. No, I think what was interesting on that episode, because I distinctly remember that you put the 50-round drum in it, and I don't think the drum functioned that well.
And it did not, but I think it could have been because I did not fill it all the way up.
Okay.
I think I only put 20 rounds in it, and with that drum, once you put the rounds in there, you have to kind of wind it up, to get the tension on that spring. But with the stick magazine, it fired, I believe, pretty much flawlessly. I don't think I had a single hiccup with the stick mag. And I did read a little bit about the gun before I did the video, and I heard that a lot of the GIs like the stick magazine for several different reasons. Not that if you were sneaking around, that drum would make a little bit of noise. Of course, if there's a lot of noise going on around you anyways, nobody's going to hear that if they're hearing, gunfire and bombs and stuff going off. But it's a really cool gun. Other than the charging handle on the top of it, when you go to rack that back, it's got sharp edges on it, and it will tear into your hand a little bit. But other than that, it's just a cool gun. It really is.
Yeah. Would you say that it's as heavy as some people complained about?
Yes, it is very heavy, especially when you shoulder it and you've got it up there. It's all that weight is so far out there in front of you, especially if you have the 50-round drum on there and it's full. That adds that much more weight to it. You wouldn't think, 50 rounds of 45 ACP is not terribly heavy, but when you get it way out in front of you like that, it's got some weight to it. And plus, it's just a really heavy gun anyways.
Right. Yeah. I haven't shot a Thompson, so that's why I'm asking. Full auto or semi-auto, I've seen them. I've seen them rather expensive for what they are, but if you want it, you want it. The one thing I do have that I guess would say reminiscent of the 20s and 30s would be my Colt 1903 pocket hammerless. So, which is a very good hideout gun. I don't know if you've ever shot one before, but
I have not.
Yeah, it's a 32 ACP 8-shot. They do have a 1908 variant, which is in 380. But just a very smooth shooting gun. Doesn't snag when you pull it on the draw. Internal hammer, and it's just you can shoot it pretty darn fast. You can empty that magazine quickly. So it's just an interesting gun. One of my more favorites to shoot.
Right.
When it comes to auto loaders, but that and there's just different types of auto loaders I want to get that might have been kind of popular in that era. So, but yeah, that's neat though. With that being said, since you've done a different variety of firearms, what would you say has been your most favorite review?
To see that's probably one of the hardest questions I could ever have to answer. It's almost asking me which one of my kids I like better, but as far as favorite guns, I don't know that I really have an extreme favorite. I have, I think if you were to talk about like black powder guns, I'm really a huge fan of the 1851 Navy. I know a lot of people think, oh, I like the 1860. It's so much better. It may be a better gun. I just like the 1851 Navy in that era. When you get up to the 1870s, the single action armies and stuff, between a Colt and a Remington, I do like the Colts better. Of course, I've never even shot a real Colt. just the, the Ubertis and Piettas and stuff like that. But I've shot replica Remingtons, so I like the Colts better. Yeah, I really don't have a favorite.
Okay.
Of really any. I've got some that I like more than others, but
I guess let me rephrase that question. What has been probably your best review on your channel? Let's
believe it or not, it's a little Taurus revolver. It's the 942 Magnum. It's a little 8-shot snub nose revolver, single action, double action revolver, and really, it's a great gun. It really is. That could be close to one of my favorites on there, but it really is a cool gun. It's small. It's so easy to shoot because it's only 22 Magnum, a little more power than a 22. But it's just a great shooting gun.
Yeah. Okay. So getting into SASS, Western Shooting Sports, obviously you mentioned SASS, so you've been a part of SASS, currently are part of SASS.
I did not renew this year, just because I knew that I would not have the time to go to any of the matches. And I've been to them in other locations too, other than my home range. But it's just tough with the kind of work I actually do, and I still work construction, so it's tough to get the time to do that when I've got other things to do besides just the gun stuff. I mean, I work full time. I still have a home and a little farm to maintain and stuff, but it gets tough to do some of those extracurricular things. A lot of times when I do the gun videos or a leather video or stuff, I have to kind of work it in between everything else that's going on, with, continuing to do the things I got to do.
Yeah. What, I mean, tell me a little bit about your SASS background, like from when you joined, why you wanted to join, just kind of let it all out there.
Well, when I first started doing the YouTube channel, I was talking to a friend of mine. I probably didn't have a handful of videos out yet, and I was talking to a friend of mine that I grew up with in Florida, and he said, we have a mutual friend who's a retired school teacher, and he actually shoots cowboy action shooting. So I called him up, and he's a retired school teacher. He's much older than me, but I mean, I was a student of his when I was in high school. But he's a good friend, great friend, and he's a big car nut too. But I got to talking to him. I probably talked to him for a couple hours on the phone, and he was explaining to me everything. And I thought, this really looks really interesting. So like most people do, you look something up on YouTube and say, what's this all about? So I started watching a bunch of videos on that, and I decided I've got to get into this and bring some of that into my channel too, not just modern firearms, because to me, it seems like most modern firearms nowadays are more tools. They're more utility than they are recreational, like a lot of it was every time periods like that. The single action armies were a tool back then. Now they're more recreational, where now the ones that are tools, in the future may be more recreational guns. But I just got so interested in it. I thought, all right, I'm going to join SASS, and I'm going to go to some of these events, and I'm going to check them out, and I'm going to do some filming at them, and I'm going to look into some of those guns and bring in some of that to my channel too, because modern guns just don't excite me too much anymore. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot of them unless you get into the really high end stuff. They're tools, and if I'm reviewing one, and I don't mind doing that either. I like, because I have those tools, I carry those tools, I use those tools. So I want to let people know what I think about the tools too. But getting back to the cowboy stuff, it just seemed like it was nothing but pure fun. Mm-hmm. It's getting out there and just being a part of it, even though we're, pretending we're back in that era and stuff. It's still a lot of fun because you go there and you talk to these people that do it, and they just really enjoy it. Some of them don't even care about the competition part of it. It's getting out there and hanging out with each other and talking about things and looking at each other's gear and holsters and the outfits. It's just a lot of fun. It really is.
Yeah, I'd say I fall in the realm of the guy that goes not for the competition. I go just to shoot the guns because I think it's cool. So
Yeah.
if I'm fast, that's great, but I don't really care about that. But I'd have to agree with you on that. What aside from the fact that you're busy, um, you don't really have as much time as you would like to dedicate to it. Uh, other than what you explained to me, like what's your experience been as far as competitions? Have you just done local? Have you gone to state matches, national, anything like that?
No, just local. And like I said, it wasn't even my local club. I was in Florida at the time, and I went to a local match there, and I just had fun hanging out with the guys there and stuff, you know.
Which club is it? Because I might know some people.
It was in Arcadia. I don't even know what the name of the club was, but it was in Arcadia, Florida.
Okay. There's a guy by the name of Outlaw Travis or Midwest Hale, anything like that? Sound familiar?
No, and to tell you the truth, it was so long ago, I'd actually have to go back and look at the video I did on it to see what their names were because I don't remember. But it was tons of fun.
Yeah, no, that's great. They've got a lot of side matches and stuff like that. Is it just the main match that you got into, or there's other portions of the sport that you got
No,
into?
just the main match.
Okay. And do you do fast draw or anything like that, or
I have not. I did want to get into it, so I bought a bunch of the wax bullets and everything to get out there and practice with. I got a whole bunch of 209 primers in the cases and everything, but it's again, you know, the same thing, the whole time issue, you know.
Gotcha. I guess we need to make sure that you have a little bit. You make your job more being a cowboy than you do being a construction worker.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, believe me, that's what I want to do because I don't do this every day. So contrary to what people might think sometimes. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do fast draw, I do long distance, I do SASS, main match and a couple other matches in there. Been doing it since 2016. So that's kind of my background, but what's your alias now then?
Dick Silver.
Dick Silver.
Yeah, and I use that on the channel from time to time, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember you mentioned something like that, but I remember it had silver in it, but I just didn't remember what it was completely. No, that's cool.
So it's just my regular name and the color of my hair. So I guess you could say Richard Silver, just go by Dick Silver. It sounds more Western, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, to each their own, man. It
Right.
doesn't matter. So it's funny. I've heard some pretty, they have the rules of come up with an alias that is appropriate to mention in front of people.
Right.
And there's people that just, it's raunchy. It's not meant to be said in public. And, I think the funniest one that I ever heard was Rusty Bang Stick.
Was what?
Rusty Bang Stick. So, you could take that as it is.
Right.
But yeah, so I just thought that was funny, but that's cool. I like your name, man. That's great. And I know you said you don't really have a favorite firearm or anything that you've done, but is there something in your collection that is prized or means a lot to you or anything like that?
I bought a revolver many years ago. I think it was before I even started doing YouTube. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. It's a Rupertus, J. Rupertus Empire 22 short revolver. It is a little tiny thing, a little pocket gun. I think it was made in 1881 or 1891. I can't remember. And I have not fired it because this one, the lockup on the cylinder was at the front side of the cylinder instead of at the back or on the side of it, with the notches. And I'm missing that lock. and I keep looking for the parts until I find it, because I really want to shoot this thing. Even though I might have to put Calibri shorts in it or something, because it was originally a black powder gun, and I don't really want to fire any modern ammo in it. But I've had that thing forever, and that's one that I think to me is a really interesting gun. It's nothing special either, I mean, it's not like it's, even in mint condition, it wouldn't be a valuable gun. It's just cool to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most interesting one I think I own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's I don't know. I have enough that I do have a favorite, but I know that some people in the comments section are going to blow me up and say that's not your favorite. But I'm a big fan of Henry's, just Henry originals and remakes thereof. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a very interesting design and just very pretty looking. Um, what are some things that you would like to? How would you like to make an impact on the Western niche?
I would just like to let people know that it exists. I mean, there's a lot of people. I talk to people every now and then, and they'll say, "Why do you do the cowboy guns or something?" I say, "Have you ever seen cowboy action shooting?" And they're like, "No." And I say, "Well, it's the only shooting competition really with a dress code." And it's just cool. Like I said, I really enjoy it. So I like to let people know that it exists, and maybe pique their interest a little bit, get them looking at it, because it is so much fun. It really is. I mean, you can go to IDPAs or Steel Target, or Steel Challenge and stuff like that, and they're cool. They're cool competitions, but for some reason, I don't think they're as much fun as cowboy action shooting.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's kind of one of those things that I know that SASS has a lot of. I don't know what their badge numbers are up to now, but I think it's up to like probably 100. It's 100 and something thousand. I know that. Got to be close.
Yeah, mine's only like 107,000. So
Okay. Well, yeah, I joined when it was 101,000 ish. So,
mm.
but I know they've got over 100,000 people that are in that range, and you kind of have to think about how people learn about this stuff and want to join it. My biggest thing, and kind of as an answer to my own question, is I want to get more people involved that are my age.
Yeah, I keep saying that maybe when I retire, I'll have more time to do it, because I just should. I hope I would have more time to do it. And I have noticed that, most of the time when you go to these matches, it is older people that are out there. Not all the time. I've seen even kids involved in it because they have, what they call it, the Buckaroo class or something like
Yeah,
that.
they have Buckaroo.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the way to get the younger ones in it. But it can be a little tough to get into it, because you can go to, like an IDPA competition, and you use one firearm, and you can use the one that you actually carry with you every day as practice and competition and everything. But when you get into the cowboy action shooting, it's two revolvers, it's a rifle, it's a shotgun, and it's got to be specific ones. It's got to be period correct and everything. It can be reproductions of it, but it's got to be period correct, and that can get pricey. And I think sometimes that may deter people a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because of the requirements. But I'm telling you, out of all the shooting events and stuff I've been to, I don't think I've been to anything more fun than cowboy action shooting.
Yeah. No, I'd say that's part of it. I'd say just people my age have young families and just time is not on their side. So,
Right.
but I mean that's the biggest thing, right? That's the hope is to help it continue. You need the younger generation to kind of step up and do that. So we'll see where it goes. Pardon me, but the audience, I'm not ignoring the audience here at all. I see your questions. We're getting to them. I just want to get through my questions, get all this through the episode so we don't prolong it. but we will bring your questions up. So please stay tuned, and we'll get to the Q&A section here. We're almost done.
And you'll have to relay them to me too, because I can't see them with my technical difficulties I had earlier. I cannot see any of the comments from the audience.
That's fine. No, I'll bring them up on screen so you can see.
All right.
Them. Where, and I know you said this a little bit, but where can people find you? If they were interested in learning more about you.
Just like I said, on YouTube or Facebook, if you look up Small Caliber Arms Review on Facebook. And you can email me too. And I do have a lot of people, because I have my email, smallcaliberarmsreview@gmail.com. It's on my homepage on there. And I have a lot of people that, ask me questions through there, make comments, send me different patterns and stuff. That D Woolham pattern that I did a couple weeks ago, the fast draw holster, that was sent to me by a viewer. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I read every comment that's on my channel, which can be a job sometimes. And I have replied to almost every single one of them. There are some that don't need my reply, or some that are actually questions for somebody else. But I'm pretty accessible that way, if either through any of them, YouTube, Facebook, or the email address.
Okay. Gotcha. How do people get more content or experience on the Old West, in your opinion? So say someone's interested in SASS, interested in anything having to do with Western firearms. What is your recommendation to that person to find out more about it?
For not so much SASS, but if you want to learn more about Old West stuff in general, I highly recommend Arizona Ghost Riders. That is one of the first channels I found when I started getting into the cowboy action shooting stuff, because he had a lot of videos in his earlier videos. There were a lot of them on dressing the part. He has a whole series called Dressing the Part. So he would tell you cost-effective ways to get that look you were going for. And I've become pretty good friends with Santee, and he's a great guy, and it's a great channel. I mean, he releases a video like every Saturday morning, and I'm usually there Saturday mornings watching him, and he does great videos, and he covers the topics usually pretty in depth. And that to me has been my biggest learning experience about the Old West.
Okay. Yeah, no, I had him on the channel here not too long ago. We kind of talked about that, and I think, as I said, I think Santee is kind of one of those pioneers that really got a lot of the Western Shootists into YouTube and all that stuff. So I think that's a great place to start. Good recommendation. What is your favorite Western movie, and why?
Why might be a harder question, but I think Quigley Down Under is probably one of my favorite Western movies. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like the Dollars trilogy, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, great Westerns. But for some reason, I think my favorite Western is going to be Quigley Down Under, and it might just be because of the rifle.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Yeah, I think that's I have a Sharps, and I got into long distance shooting because I saw Quigley Down Under. So, and they have I believe they have Quigley matches up north in Montana, kind of a thing, and that is a good pick. It's not my favorite, but I'm glad it's your favorite.
And it's okay. We can have difference of opinion on favorite movies.
Hey, if we're gonna have difference of opinion, I could think of a million other things that are terrible to have a difference of opinion on, but I think we're good on that one. If before we get to our last question in audience Q&A, I'm gonna put you on hold for a few minutes. I gotta go deal with something, so I will be right back. Just stay on the channel real quick, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I guess I'm still live. He'll be back. I had the technical difficulties in the beginning, so I cannot see any questions that anybody's answering. So if you can still hear me, hopefully I'll try to keep you entertained without actually doing a song and dance to keep you entertained. And I really wish I could see the questions because I'd try to answer them the best I could. There's just, for some reason, I tried for 20 minutes to get everything to work on my end, and Slick was patiently waiting on me to get everything set up. I had audio but no video, so I've tried my best to get everything going up again. So hopefully, if you are here, I would love to see your questions. Like I said, I cannot, for some reason, see them right now. Let me try something. And that probably did not do it. And I probably just messed everything up. Technical glitch there. There I am.
Okay, there you are. Sorry,
No problem.
had to step away for a second, but we're back. And okay, so the last question before we get to the audience Q&A is, if you could choose just one gun from each category, I want to know what your number one revolver would be, your lever action rifle, or your rifle. Doesn't need to be lever action. And what shotgun you'd have.
Well, I'm not a huge shotgun guy, but I think my favorite shotgun would be my Stoeger coach gun. I've always liked side-by-sides. Is my favorite revolver. Believe it or not, I think that little, it's not a cowboy gun, but that little Taurus 942 Magnum is one of my favorite revolvers. It's way up there between it and the 605, which neither one of them are cowboy guns. And as far as my favorite rifle, that's a really tough one because there's such a range there. I mean, I like 22s for planking. I like 6.5 Creedmoor for, long distance stuff. I don't want to go out and shoot cans with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and I don't want to try to take down a moose or something with a 22. But so I would say my favorite rifle in a 22 in a small caliber would be the Marlin Model 60, and the larger caliber would either be that 1874 Sharps or my Howa 6.5 Creedmoor. I don't know, maybe my Savage 22 250. So you're asking me which one of my kids I like best again. It's a tough question, it really is. But
well, I mean, at least you gave me an answer. There you go. I hope the audience understands your favorites, and now they'll know what to send you when you decide to do a review on them, unless you've already done
that. I've done a review on every one of those guns, I think. Yeah, I have. Okay. But I mean, there's plenty more out there to do.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get into the audience Q&A.
All right.
So that we can kind of close this out. We got about 10 minutes left. I think that's perfect. So the first question is going to be, and Richard, please let me know if you can't see this. Are you good?
Question, during shooting on the Rough Rider Rancher, how many ammos? It's 6 rounds. 6 rounds in the, I mean, all of my Heritage are 6-round guns. I don't have any of the 9-shot Heritage revolvers.
Okay. A funny little side note, I've never shot a rough any of the Rough Riders or the Little Heritage.
You know, when I seen them years ago, I was going to buy one a long time ago, and I thought, I don't know, that safety on there, I just cannot make myself do it. And then as I started doing the channel, I thought I might as well go ahead and buy one because it's content and someone might want to know something about it. And I own a few of them now, because really, once you learn to either deal with that safety or ignore that safety, they're really, for the price, I don't think you can have as much fun with a firearm for that price. You know what I mean?
Now, I did you do a review on the Barkeep, or there was one that has no sight on it?
The Barkeep boot has no sight on it. I can't remember if the regular Barkeep does or not. I think it might have a front sight on it, but the boot has no front sight on it.
Okay. Yeah, it's I have held them at gun stores. I think they're kind of a little too plasticky looking for me. But that goes along with, as you said, it's kind of meant to be on the cheaper side so people can get interested in them.
Right.
So I think that's a great reason. Yes, they can be used in SASS. I know that the Buckaroos can use 22s, and the Heritage is one of those things.
You know, it kind of makes me wonder, though, sometimes if you had a division or a class in SASS, or even the adults could use those, if you couldn't bring more people into it like that.
So I know they do, and I know it's basically local clubs that are deciding to do that. They're calling it the double deuce category.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's when people bring out their gallery guns and all that stuff. And
sure.
You know, so that's a good way to see a lot of those. So to answer your question, yeah, they do have that. Moving into the next question here from Steven again. He says, "How was your day, Slick?" And rough. I much like you, Richard. I'm a working man, so I run my own business pretty much, and I'm the employee and the CEO all at the same time. So
right,
you know, doing all that, and it's having to deal with livestock. So it's a rough time. So when I get the chance to do videos, I get excited because it's something I love doing.
Right.
But not that being a business owner to me isn't bad at all. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it.
Right.
But you know, it does have its rough day. So my answer to that is it's been pretty rough, but I'm glad I'm here. So thanks for asking. AR American says hello. So does 11 Bang Bang. Garrett is here. Snapper's here. He says hello. Don't know if any of those guys you follow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely a good group of people. So we're all kind of in that same crew. They're all watching tonight. So thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Yes.
Stephen again asks a question for you, Richard. How many Western pistols have you shot lately or been shooting? I mean, you've got quite a few videos, so that might be hard.
Yeah, I couldn't say, and I've still got several that I have not done yet. Some of them that I've actually owned for a couple of years and still haven't done a video on yet.
Okay.
And the opportunity to come up to get it, so I got it, and I thought, well, when the time's right, I'll do it. And sometimes I'm really delayed by still wanting to dress in character when I'm doing something. So I've got a certain gun, but I need this vest or this hat or whatever. It may be a while before I get that accessory to not that it's necessary, but for me, I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah. One from a guy that I've been waiting to hear from is Tuco. He says, "Love that Paladin rig on the wall." You want to explain a little bit about that?
That's the one that's other hand right up there somewhere. That one, I cannot remember who suggested I do that. But I had never really watched much of Have Gun Will Travel, but I knew about it. I just hadn't watched a bunch of the episodes because sometimes they're a little hard to find. But when I really looked at it and I watched a couple episodes of the show, I thought, yeah, I've got to do that rig. So I searched everywhere, and actually found the a guy on eBay that makes that concho, and it is. I do a lot of comparison between screenshots from the TV show or the movie and the pieces like the concho and stuff. And I found a guy that makes a really good reproduction of it, and I thought I have got to make this holster. And I try to do them as close as I can to the movie. I don't care if it's any kind of copyright infringement or whatever. I'm not making them to sell. I'm trying to make a reproduction of it. And I have seen other makers out there that will make a holster and they'll say, you know, this is the Hand of God or the Flames of Hell or the Paladin holster. And I look at it and then I look at screenshots and I go, yeah, there's quite a bit of difference in the two. So I try to make it as close as I can. But that one, that was the first one I did with the laced bullet loops through the belt. I discovered I did not like doing that. But making the holster was a lot of fun, and it's one that I really like. It fits well, it looks good, and it wears well too. It's a good holster. I like it.
Good. So with that being said, how many of those rigs do you actually wear, or do you just make them just to make them?
Sometimes I make them just for a gun review. I like to make a video on doing the holster because there are a lot of people that like to see. There's a lot of people have a lot of different interests, not just the gun, but leather work too. And I like to do a video on making the holster and explain as much of it as I can, why I did what I did, or why you shouldn't do what I did. So I like to make a video for that. And then I like to do the gun that goes in it. And that may be the only time I wear it.
Okay.
Sadly, but I mean, I can't wear all of them all the time, but.
So I think this is probably more on the side of your, you know, your making holsters.
Yeah.
Snapper asking, would you ever consider making holsters to sell? Or do you do that currently?
I do not do that currently, but I have had enough people ask that I would consider it, just not yet. I mean, I barely have enough time to make a weekly video, and sometimes holsters, you know, can take, sometimes I rush them a little bit to try to get them done in a certain time period for a video. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I try to do them as quick as I can. And if I make holsters to sell, I want to take my time with it. I want to make sure every stitch is perfect on it. I want to make sure the finish is exactly right. I have made holsters that did not come out right, and they go in a bin and sit there, you know, because I didn't like the color of it. It didn't turn out quite right. I've got videos I've made that I've never posted because something didn't come out right. Or maybe I just got carried away and just didn't feel like moving the cameras or something. When I did the Man with No Name rig up there, I filmed most of that, and I just got to a point where I was sewing along there, and I thought, I'm not stopping now. I'm in a groove. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to move cameras, and never finish the video.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're patient. Go ahead.
I would consider making them to sell sometime in the future. It's just, like I said, not anytime real soon.
Okay. Well, you know, you got some people that are interested. So
I know.
You know, so I think that's quite the motivation there.
Yeah.
Might be able to get you out of your construction job.
That would be nice, kind of. I really do like construction too, though. I mean, 30 years of doing it. I don't know anything else really, you know. I mean, that's been my life.
True.
But
well, you know, it's just kind of food for thought, I guess, for your audience. They really want to see more of you and more of your products. That's cool.
It is.
Tuco again says the DeSoto Gun Club in Arcadia, Florida. Is that's the one?
That's the one.
Okay.
Yep.
He says that was the first place that he shot Cowboy. So
really,
maybe you guys have run into each other. No,
I was only there one time, but it's the first place I shot Cowboy action shooting too.
Gotcha. We got Lever Guns 50 is in the house. Hello, Lever Guns. Been a while. Haven't talked to you in a while, so thank you for tuning in. Let's see what else we got.
He has some really cool calibers.
Yeah. Now the 5110 and I think he had a 5140 Sharps, which was I've only seen that for sale once. I've never seen a gun for it. I've seen the ammo. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, that's a pretty unique gun.
Yes.
He's got there, and yeah, he does a lot of stuff. He did a. I think he also does his own color case hardening, which I think
Mm.
is kind of neat. He showed a video on how to do that. So um, I think I might be taking some tips from that. I'd be a little afraid of because I'm not super skilled in that. It would be a first time. I would have to test it out on some metal before I do it on a gun. You know.
Right.
And Chico says that he shot there in 2008.
No, it would have been, see, I don't know when it would have been for me, like what, 2018. So 10 years later, I guess, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I before we kind of sign off for the evening, and I'm still waiting to see if anyone else has any questions. If we do, because at the current time we don't, but we may. Are there
Okay.
any questions you have of me? I know I've kind of run the gamut and tried to answer the same questions that I've asked you, but is there anything you have of me?
Uh, Geez, not really that I can think of. What is the shotgun you did in the short, where you showed you're loading it and then you just dump all the rounds out of it instantly?
Say 1897.
1897. And see, like I said, I'm not a big shotgun guy. I mean, when I was in law enforcement, I trained with a shotgun, but it was God, that was so long ago. I don't even remember what it was. I'm sure it was either a Remington or a Mossberg. I want to say Remington for some reason, but we were not doing any cowboy action shooting. We were shooting at human targets, not
Yeah,
humans, but human shaped targets, I should say, I
yeah,
guess,
silhouettes.
with buckshot. So I mean, it was strictly business, and I own a couple. The Stoger Coach gun is my favorite. So, but there's no loading it or unloading it like that. It's just really cool to see hit those two buttons and it's all gone.
Yeah, I know that 11 Bang Bang has one that has screws for the ejector portion of the shells if you want to do it that way. So
Mm,
that was more of a later development from what I know. I haven't done my history on the 97 yet, so I don't want to speak to exactly when that happened. But I'm sure someone in the comments section will pipe in and say something about that. But yeah, that is a cool feature. That's one of the features I really liked about it because um, I got kids in the house and it allows me to pretty much just without running anything through the chamber, I can just eject it out really fast and I know that all the rounds are out. I don't, I can see 5 go in and I can see all 5 just spill out right there. I'm not counting
right.
rounds. It's just you can see it. And the
And you don't risk
fireball,
chambering it and ejecting it, chambering and ejecting it.
yeah. I
And
mean,
I've seen people do that.
you can do that too, and that's a way of doing it. But the way it's designed, I just think that's a great way.
Now that shotgun is capable of slam firing, isn't it? When you pull it forward, you can.
Yes, it is. They also the Model 12, which was the shotgun after it, has the capability of doing that too. Not a lot of people really talk about that, but I actually did a video both with the 97 slam firing and the Model 12 doing the same thing. So
I think.
the cool thing with the Model 12 is it actually has an extra round in it, so you can hold 6 instead of 5.
Uh,
So
I think the old Colt Lightning rifles were the same way.
I don't know, and I'm not wanting to test it. Kind of a funny story here. I uh, I do have a original Colt Lightning rifle.
Oh, really?
I do, and the thing is I bought it 2 years ago. I haven't shot it. I'm going to eventually, but I uh, I have heard that about the Colts. I don't know if I want to do it just because of how old it is. I mean, and the rarity of that specific rifle, because it's a, I mean, if it was, a Colt didn't make many of them. I know
Right.
that, but the type that I have is made specifically for the San Francisco Police Department, and it has its own individual serial number, and it's one of 400 that was made.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not I'm not trying to wreck that thing, but I
Right.
will shoot it. But
What
maybe
caliber
if
is
I
it?
get a reproduction, I might try that. You know,
Yeah. What caliber is it?
4440.
Oh, wow. You know what? I had, until I did the, well, the Paladin rig I got up there, I bought a, it's a Cimarron, I think it's a Model P, in 4440. And I had never shot a 4440 before that. And I really like that round. It is a good shooting round. It's not overpowering. It's a lot harder to find than 45 Colt, but it's a great shooting round. It really is. I don't know what's so much different about it. The feel of it to me between it and the 45 Colt is, it's different, and I like it.
Yeah, I got mixed reviews on it. I think it is a good round. When I first started shooting it, I had cases that really didn't feed well into the rifle, so I kind of had a bad experience at first with it. But it was because the manufacturer put a what they did was they put a crimp in the casing, not at the end where the bullet seats. They put it in the casing about midway, and so every time you tried to chamber the round, it would get caught, and so you cause the rifle to jam. Not a problem in pistols, but
Right.
you know, in the rifle, it was kind of frustrating. So I kind of had a bad rap with it, but I've been able to find brass that's better. And I have probably about 500, almost 1,000 rounds of 4440 lying around, and it's probably the least fired round that I have. So I do shoot 45 Colt a lot.
Right.
That's because when I got into SASS, that was the first rifle I bought was chambered in 45 Colt. So I bought all my everything else in 45 Colt.
I went the 357 38 route because, you know, 38s are everywhere just about, and at that time you could go to Walmart and buy, you know, a couple hundred rounds of 38 special for next to nothing. But since they quit carrying handgun ammo, you don't have that anymore. But still, 38 was so much cheaper and easier to find than 45 Colt. But I bought a few revolvers in 45 Colt, and I really haven't bought anything unless it's a modern gun that I'm doing the specific review on. I haven't bought any 38 in years, or 357.
Yeah. I I didn't get into that caliber because I couldn't find the round nose flat points that usually are meant to be fed into the magazine rifles. I have not seen those manufactured, at least at the normal places where you go buy it. You would have to special order it. Whereas 45 Colt, you could buy the round nose flat point all lead anywhere.
Right.
So that was the big maker or breaker on that too. But you know, I've got a multitude of calibers. I've got the 45 Colt, 4440. I've got 3840. I've got not 3840, 3040, 4570, 4065. I'm all over the place.
Right.
You know.
It's interesting you talk about the round nose flat points. I have a Rossi 92. That's the rifle I used in the cowboy action shooting, and I had a problem with it with round nose flat points, double feeding. When you would, pull the hammer back and it would feed around in there, it would fit two or three of them, as many as it could in there until it jammed up. So I'd have to dig them out every time. And I did a lot of work on the interrupter and cleaning and polishing everything in there. And it turns out if I put full round nose in there, no issues whatsoever.
Huh.
It's like with the flat points, they're just a little too close to each other for that interrupter to get in there.
Right.
and do its thing. But I put round nose in there, and as fast as you can rack it, it'll no problems whatsoever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We got another question here.
All right.
Tuco's laughing at me about my story with the 4440, but he asked you, do you shoot black powder cartridge?
I have not yet. I have a lot of cartridges and I have a little bit of black powder. I just have not loaded any yet. I want to. I think I'm just waiting on me to come up with some more empties before I reload them. I did luck out and find a couple hundred rounds of 4440 brass, Starline brass, a couple months ago. And Starline actually pointed out where I could get it from because they weren't producing any yet. So they sent me a link to where I could get it, and I bought a couple hundred rounds of it. And I need to. I would really like to load some black powder cartridges.
Yeah, I did load some black powder cartridges as a test fire only. I have shot 4440 in black powder, and it is quite a thumper. Especially if you do full case loads. 45 Colts, I haven't done that yet in black powder. I've done blanks, black powder blanks in that, but not a full case load. But there are bullets out there that because the thing with black powder is the lubricant,
Right.
And so I have all my bullets that I bought because I reload if you couldn't tell, and it sounds like you do too.
Yeah.
Okay. The bullets I bought were all smokeless prepped lubricant, and they just don't have the greatest grease groove, and so you're kind of just having to deal with you either load it as is or you put a grease wad in between the powder and the bullet, and I just am too lazy to go out and buy the grease pad. So but there are bullets out there, I forget who makes them, but they basically have a grease groove that cuts out almost a large portion of the bottom of the bullet. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but they cut out a portion of the bottom to where it basically has just a little attachment at the end to basically act as a seal. And then you put all the grease in that groove there, and it's really, really thick. And they say that that's the best thing to do. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting to do. I'm waiting to shoot all my smokeless bullets so that I can transition to that.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to load my 4440s with black powder, and I just don't have any bullets yet. I've got primers, I've got cases, I've got powder. I just do not have the bullets. And finding the right one, like you said, with the proper grooves in it, and then I'd probably pan lube them or something. I'll have to do more looking into it, but I want to load those with black powder.
Yeah.
I don't like cleaning up after black powder. I don't mind it. But the nice thing about the smokeless is if I can't get to it right away, I can put it away dirty.
Just watch my videos. You'll never go wrong with cleaning your vaqueros or anything like that, if you have any.
Yeah.
So, so if you shoot black powder in those, you'll be able to clean all that out. I wouldn't worry about it, but yeah, I can understand, and that is definitely one of those things that I'm not really too keen on black powder, is because what I like to do is when I go to a match, I shoot the match, I like to put my guns away.
Yeah.
It's been a long day already. I don't want to clean.
Right.
I want to save it for later, and black powder, you just can't do that. So.
Right. Yeah, you have to keep on top of it.
Yeah.
If you don't want any damage done to them, because it will happen.
Well, and there are guys out there. It's like sometimes some of these guys will shoot guns that they've got their bores are shot out completely, or so pitted to the point where accuracy is out the window. But it doesn't really matter, because as long as the target's 10 yards in front of you, you should be able to hit that.
Right.
So I guess it might not matter to them, but you never know. Snapper asks you, have you shot 45 Colt with 40 grains of black powder? He's asking you more black powder questions.
No, I have not. I have not shot any black powder cartridge stuff yet. Shot black powder, regular black powder guns, but no black powder cartridges yet. I do want to try it. I just haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah. Well, you definitely should put that in a video when you get the chance. So which kind of begs the question, and I think this will be the last one from me for the evening, but what's your upcoming content? What you got?
I don't know. I really don't. I think I've got everything I need to do the Hand of God rig, the Cimarron Hand of God gun. I've got the holster. I finally finished my vest, and I actually I have not finished the hat band. This is a reproduction of Russell Crowe's hat band, at least the embroidered part on there. But the back of it's not done. Not that that's necessary for the video anyways, but that's probably the closest one I got, or the Schofield. Either one of those two, both in the same movie. Because I've got the Flames of Hell rig up there, and I've got the Schofield, and unfortunately, I got one Schofield and one, what is it? American Model 3 American.
Yeah.
But it has a 1 inch longer barrel, and both of those holsters on that were made for a 7-inch barrel. That one's an 8-inch, and they both have toe plugs in it. So I do have a Barra pellet gun of the same, but I mean, it's probably not necessary for me to shoot both Schofields. We can take a look at one Schofield, and that's the other one will be just like it.
What's the caliber of the Schofield?
It's 45 Colt.
Okay.
It's a Cimarron, so a reproduction, so I can still fire the modern stuff in it. That's one of the things I do like about the reproductions is, you don't have to worry so much. If you get originals, you want to shoot black powder in them so you don't damage them. And sometimes that ammo is real hard to find if you don't load it yourself. So that I do like, even though they might not be the correct caliber, they're modern calibers.
Yeah.
I wish I had some 44 specials to put in it or something, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that video. As far as content for me, I'm trying to get my my Henry 1860 up and running with videos here, but work's been kind of cutting into that. So I guess I'll just have to settle with live streams for now.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all good. I appreciate you coming on the channel tonight. I know that it's late your time there. You're looking at 9:30, 10 o'clock almost. So I appreciate you being on. Thanks for taking me up on this opportunity for a collaboration. It's been fun. I appreciate it, man. So I hope we can link up in the future. And everybody, if you've been watching it till the end, make sure you subscribe to our channels and hit up Small Caliber Arms Review. He's been in the game for a little while and knows what he's talking about. And
I've been in the game for a little while. I've been in the game for a little while. Let's just leave it like that. You can leave that part about he knows what he's talking about off there, maybe.
Oh yeah. He's been in the game a while. Okay.
There you go.
He may be thinking about selling leather, but he's not quite there.
Right.
But anyway, stay tuned to his channel. He's got some good stuff coming up, and I'll say good night to everyone. So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Good night.
Good night.